Hi, lovelies. There is a moment most people are waiting for, a pay rise, a quieter month, a point where the bills calm down and there is finally a bit left over. They are waiting for the right conditions, and while they wait, the months go by. I spent years behind a bank counter watching this exact pattern. Customers who genuinely wanted to save, customers who meant to start, customers who were still meaning to start 3 years later. The ones who actually saved, they did not wait for better conditions. They did not have more money. They had a different system. Some of those customers are still waiting. And if that sounds familiar, you're not the only one. Why the right moment never comes. The problem isn't the amount. It's the order. The most common reason people don't save is not lack of income. It's the belief that saving requires a surplus, that you'll start when there's something left at the end of the month. But here's the problem with that. The end of the month has a way of never having anything left. Spending expands to fill income. That's not a character flaw, that's just how household spending works. I used to see customers on reasonable salaries who genuinely could not explain where their money went. Not because they were reckless, because they were spending first, and saving what was left, which was usually nothing. The fix is not waiting for a surplus. The fix is changing the order. Try this. Before your next payday, decide on one amount, even £10. That moves to savings the same day your salary lands. Not what's left, what comes out first. The system that removes willpower. Willpower is a terrible saving strategy. It asks you to make a fresh decision every single month, and every month the rent is due. The car needs something, and someone's birthday has crept up on you. The decision will lose every time. The customers I saw who built savings consistently were not more disciplined than anyone else. They had just taken the decision out of their own hands. Standing orders, set up once. Left alone, the money moved before they could spend it, before they could reason with themselves, before the month could make a case for why this month was the exception. Automation is not a shortcut. It's the whole point. One simple way to do this is to set up a standing order for the day after your salary arrives. Treat it like a bill. Bills don't ask your permission. Your savings shouldn't either. Why small beats large every time? The most discouraging savings number is also the most misleading. People talk themselves out of saving because the amount feels pointless. £25 a month isn't going to change your life. So why bother? Here is why. £25 a month is £300 a year. In 3 years, that's £900 sitting somewhere it wasn't before. But that's not the real reason small beats large. The real reason is consistency. Someone saving £50 a month for 12 months has £600. Someone planning to save £300 in a lump sum, when things are better, has, very often, nothing. The large amount depends on the right moment arriving. The small amount just keeps going. I watch customers save through house moves, redundancies, broken boilers, difficult years, not because they saved huge amounts, because they never stopped. Consistency is the asset. The amount is almost secondary, so pick an amount so small it feels almost unimportant. Set it up anyway. You can increase it later, but you can't go back and start 3 years earlier. If you've been waiting to start, you're in good company. Most people are, but what I noticed after years behind that counter was this. The difference wasn't discipline, it was what happened to the money in the first 24 hours, and most people never see that. The customers who always had money. There is a type of customer every bank worker knows. They don't come in with complaints. They don't come in panicked. They come in once a year, calm, organised, and they always have a buffer. They were not always high earners. Some of them were on salaries you'd expect to be stretched. What they had in common was not income level. It was structure. Money went somewhere specific the moment it arrived. Current account for bills. A separate account for regular spending. A savings account that was not connected to the card. That last part mattered more than people realise. When savings are visible in your main account, you spend them, not because you lack discipline, because they're there. Remove the friction in the wrong direction. Make spending the savings slightly inconvenient. Make saving automatic. That's the whole system. If your savings sit in the same account as your spending money, move them. Even that one change makes a difference. The savings rate that actually matters. The number in the article is not the number that matters. Every piece of advice will tell you the same thing. save 10% or 20% or 3 months of expenses, and then most people do nothing because 10% isn't available, because 3 months feels too far away, because the number is right, but the starting point is wrong. The savings rate that matters is not the one in the article. It's the one you can actually do this month. For some people, that's £50. For some, it's 15. For some, it's the change from rounding down spending. What matters is not the percentage. What matters is the habit. A small habit that runs for 5 years builds something real. A perfect plan that never starts builds nothing. Here is what changes when there is something behind you. Even a few £100s, decisions change. You don't take the wrong job because you're desperate. You don't put the car repair on a credit card because there's no other option. You have a pause, a breath, a choice. That's what savings actually buy, not a number in an app, a bit of space in your life. The one thing that changes everything. The customers who built savings didn't do anything most people haven't already thought of. That's what made it so hard to explain. Most people treat saving as something they will do when they're in a better position, but saving is what creates the better position. I think about the customers who were still meaning to start, the ones who came in year after year with the same intention and the same reason for waiting. Some of them got there eventually, some of them are probably still waiting. The difference between those two groups was never the salary. It was the day they stopped waiting and started anyway, one decision made once. Before the month begins, that's the decision that changes it. You already know how to save money, even if it hasn't started yet. Not by finding dramatic cuts, not by waiting for a windfall, but by changing the order. By moving money before the month can spend it, by making the decision once and letting it run. The customers who were still meaning to start, some of them eventually did. They just wish they hadn't waited so long. The right moment is not coming. This is the moment. If this made you think, I'd love you to subscribe. I am here every day with more of this, and over time, those small shifts in how you see money can quietly change everything. Because in the end, it's built in the quiet way habits repeat, and that's when you truly start to love your money.